Hey guys, remember for The Flash, Season 2, Episode 18 versus Zoom, and I was really looking forward to this episode. But as you guys know, I really wasn't a fan of the last episode. For me, I just felt like it was a filler episode. It really wasn't doing anything that monumental to the story. And this season in general, I haven't been loving as much as Season 1 because it just feels like we haven't been getting as much as we should with the character of Zoom. Well, scratch that because this episode finally gave me everything I wanted. We got the origin of Zoom in this episode. We had some really great character moments here. This was, without a doubt, one of the best episodes of this season. I don't know if it was the best. I think Welcome to Earth 2 still is the best episode of this season, but I do think it was a very well done episode. I really did enjoy it. Definitely up there with the best ones. And maybe one of the best episodes of Flash has done so far, honestly. I really love this episode. I thought it was really well handled, and I definitely really did enjoy it. But let's just get into this episode because there is a lot to get into. And first of all, I love the way this episode tried to kind of show the difference between Barry and Zoom, because we see Barry after his mother's murdered. He goes to live with Joe and Iris. And then we go to Earth 2 many years ago, and we see a boy, Hunter Zolomon. He wakes up when he hears his parents arguing. And of course, Hunter, as we know, is actually Zoom, and his father James insists that Ashley is her husband, and she says that the man he's becoming isn't her husband, and tells Hunter to run. And James, wearing his Flash costume, pulls Hunter over, puts his helmet on him. He tells Hunter that he's going to want to see what happens next. Ashley begs James to stop as James takes out a gun and kills his mother. Literally kills his mother. So while Barry's dad, while Henry was accused of killing, Nora, he didn't actually kill Nora, as we know. Zoom, however, his mother was killed, and it obviously fucked him up, definitely. You can definitely tell. So later at the orphanage, a social worker takes Hunter to an orphanage and tells the attendant that Hunter's father killed his mother, and Hunter saw the whole thing. None of Hunter's relatives wanted him. The attendant takes Hunter to his room. I mean, it really is a sad story, knowing this boy is all left alone, no one really wanting to care for him, no one really wanting to tend to him. It's really sad stuff, and I really did feel bad for Hunter. I think they did a very good job of just, in this scene, right away making us feel bad for him. I really did feel bad right in this first scene. Really well done the way they handled that, I have to say. Very sad, but I think very well done and very well handled. So I really did enjoy that. Flash then we then go to the present. Flash goes to Keystone City, checks in with the team at Star Labs. A speedster attacks the Tachyon Enhancer, and Flash says that he feels different. He doesn't know why, but just something about him feels different. He races back to Star Labs, moving faster than ever, and Caitlin confirms that his vitals are fast, and Flash goes even faster. He disappears and reappears momentarily, and asks how long he was gone. And this is something that he doesn't really know what's happening. He can just go a lot faster, and he doesn't really know why, and basically Caitlin and Cisco tell him that he went 4 times faster than he ever has, and Wells comes in, points out that it's faster than Zoom goes, and Barry asks him to reduce the enhancer's speed. Cisco points out that they closed the breaches and don't know how to reopen them, so they can't really do anything about that, because obviously we know how dangerous the breaches are. So Wells wanted to keep them sealed forever and tells Barry to forget about Zoom. He refuses to give Zoom the chance to recapture Jessie and torture her again, because of course he had to spend all that time looking for Jessie, and now that Jessie's back, I mean, obviously she's not with him, she's out in the world, but she is still out there, and he said that Zoom doesn't care about anyone, but he cares about Jessie and isn't going to endanger her. Barry refuses to turn their backs on another Earth, and Wells points out that there is no way to Earth 2. There's no way of getting there. Barry wants to get there, but, I like that, Wells is telling him at this point there really is no way of getting to Earth 2. I mean, even though Barry wants to, there's no way of getting there. Zoom's out there, just everything they know now, especially knowing that Garrick was from Earth 2. Earth 2 is a very dangerous place, and they just can't really go back there. It's just not safe right now, and they had to close the breaches because it just wasn't safe. And I mean, I really did feel bad for Barry in the scene because he's just trying to do something right. He just wants to, be able to take down Zoom, and he just wants to be able to take, him down and everything. But I really did feel bad for Barry in the scene. You really do see that he does want to take down Zoom and do something good, but unfortunately he's outnumbered and he can't really do anything. So as Iris leaves, Barry asks where she's going. She says she has a date with her editor, Scott. Barry tells Iris she deserves to move on and be happy, and Iris says she'll help out the next day, which, okay, fine. I still don't know how to feel about Iris and the editor, but I do like that she is moving on. I like that she says this is the first day I've had since Eddie died. I thought that was a good scene. I definitely really did enjoy that. I just don't really believe her and the editor would be dating. I just don't really see it that way. So that night, Barry has pizza with Joe at his home. Barry says he has to get back to the lab and find a way back to Earth 2. He explains Wells' reluctance, and Joe agrees. Barry assures his foster father that he can take Zoom down just as Wally comes in, because Joe really doesn't know if Barry's going to be able to take him down, but I like that Barry's saying, no, I can do this, yeah, I got this in the bag, and he tells Joe that he's not living on campus now, that room and board became more expensive than he thought, and Joe offers to help, but Wally insists that he's good, and once he leaves, Joe wonders if Wally's Earth 2 counterpart is that complicated, and Barry gets an idea. And without a doubt, this was Wally's best episode. He wasn't annoying. He wasn't an annoying little shit. He wasn't just causing problems. He actually had a really good storyline. I like what they did with him in this episode. So when Barry returns, you obviously want to wonder what his idea is, because we don't really know what it is. So when Barry returns to Star Labs, he tells Caitlin and Cisco that he thought of something. He asks Wells what Reverb's powers were on Earth, and Wells says that Reverb could see through dimensions, and Barry points out that Reverb could manipulate multi-dimensional energies and create breaches, and Cisco could do the same because he has that same power. Even though, obviously, Reverb was a villain and Vibe is good, the thing is, they both do have the same power, and I love the way they use this storyline in this episode, because later in the Breach Chamber, Cisco tries to focus on his powers, but he fails, because he still doesn't fully know how to control them. He's trying to focus, and he doesn't really know what to do. So Barry assures him he can do it. Cisco tries again, he fails, and figures that he's not the right man for the job, and leaves with Caitlin, and basically doesn't want to do this, you can see. He doesn't want to do this at all, and the next day, Barry and Cisco go to an abandoned hospital with the highest levels of residual transdimensional energy. Cisco tries to open a breach and says that he can't do it. Wells comes in and says that he's going to help, but Barry not killed. He gives Cisco the recalibrated reverb goggles so that they'll let him access some of the transdimensional energy manipulated. Cisco then puts on the goggles and concentrates, and a breach opens, and basically he was able to open the breach. So on Earth 2, Jay senses the breach and speeds the hospital on his world, and obviously Jay's not dead. He is in fact going to warn them, though, obviously, that he's there. And I like that they did confirm this episode that Jay Garrick is not the bad guy here. He is in no way the bad guy. It is Hunter Zolomon that is the bad version of him, and that's kind of just how it's always been. So, and what's interesting is that we're basically led to believe that Hunter Zolomon was both on Earth 1 and Earth 2, which I think is very interesting. So Cisco catches a glimpse of something through the breach and lets it close. He tells Barry that he can't do it and asks him to not ask to again, and runs out. And we don't know what he saw, but obviously he's pretty terrified, and we don't really know what's going on there. So back at Star Labs, Wells updates the Tachyon enhancer and suggests that Barry and Caitlin work Cisco's workshop. Joe and Iris come by to help. Iris goes with Caitlin. Joe tells Barry that Wally isn't letting him help him, and Barry says that Wally wants Joe to offer him a place to live. He assures Joe that he's good with it, and Caitlin, and Joe doesn't really know if this is the best thing to do because of the whole situation with Zoom and everything. He doesn't really know if that's safe right now, but I like that Barry saying, no, I can do this. Caitlin watches them, figures that they have a special bond, and Iris agrees and says that she bailed on her date with Scott, and her friend wonders if it's because of Eddie or is it because of Barry. And Iris admits that recently everything has been telling her that they're supposed to be together. And Caitlin says that she believes in destiny for Iris. And okay, fine. I like that they're setting this up. I like that they are setting up Iris and Barry. It would make sense that they do that. I'm fine with this, honestly. I have no problem with them setting up Iris and Barry because that is exactly the direction they need to take it in the comics. If you guys know in the comics, Iris and Barry do end up married. And then we know in Earth 2, Iris and Barry end up married. So I think it would only make sense for Iris and Barry to get together. It would work that way. And I like that we definitely saw that. I really enjoyed the way that was done, and definitely really good stuff there. So I'm glad that Iris is starting to possibly have feelings for Barry. I mean, for a while it seemed like she just, they were friends and that's what they were, but now it really seems like they are going in the direction where she kind of wants more, and I definitely do like seeing that. So Wally arrives at the West House, finds Joe staying at the spare bedroom for him. Joe apologized for not realizing that Wally wanted to move in, and suggesting that Wally lives there if he wants to. Wally touched, agrees, and thanks Joe. And again, Wally wasn't a dick here. He was actually a nice guy. You can tell he's just a teen trying to find a place to live. He doesn't really know where to go, and that's something that a college, someone who's in college faces every day, and it really is probably one of the hardest things they could ever do. I mean, if you don't live on campus, you really have to figure out where you want to go. I mean, if you don't, you have to find an apartment. You could maybe find an apartment with a roommate. But when you're a teen, when you're in college, you want that sense of independence. You can tell that Wally wanted that, but he just couldn't do that. He needed Joe. Joe, basically wanted to help him, and he gave him the best offer. And basically, I think Wally just realized that he couldn't do this on his own. I think he wanted to, but he couldn't, and I think they showed that very well here. So at Starless, Barry finds Cisco in his workshop, and I loved this scene with Barry and Cisco. This scene was incredible. Carlos, whatever his last name is, he just killed it in this scene. He was fantastic, and everything about it I thought was just amazing. So Barry finds Cisco in his workshop. Cisco finally says that if he starts doing what Reverb did, then he may turn to the dark side. And we've known since Reverb that he's been haunted by Reverb, and he's really worried that he's going to become like Reverb. And then when his counterpart felt the power, he succumbed. Barry tells his friend that he's been through the same thing every time he learned a new ability, but Cisco was already there for him, and he shouldn't really have a problem. He says that he'll always be there for Cisco. They're all Cisco's family, and they will all be there for him. And Barry asks if Cisco's ready. Cisco says that he is, and I love that Barry reassured him this is going to be okay. You don't have to worry about this. You can really see that Cisco doesn't really know if it's going to be okay. You know, he's really worried that he's going to end up hurting them or something is just not going to work out, and I love the way that was done, because we've seen since Cisco's turned to Vibe, he doesn't really know how to control it, and he really is worried that it's gonna, turn him to the dark side. But you can tell that Barry's trying to say that we'll stick by you, we'll make sure that you stay a hero. The one thing that Earth 2, as we know, didn't have was Barry Allen as a Flash. They had Jay Garrick as a Flash, which we've seen before is not as, powerful as, well, he's just as powerful as Barry, definitely, but he isn't as good as a Flash as Barry. We definitely have seen that. So in the lab, Wells attaches the miniature Rise enhancer to the Flash suit. Caitlin tells Barry that she can't face Jay after what happened, just after everything going on. She doesn't want to face him, and explains that Jay's Earth 1 counterpart is Hunter Zolomon, and Wells overhears him, says that Hunter Zolomon on Earth is a convicted serial killer, and obviously, the way that Wells just reacts to this, you can tell this is a man that everyone fears. This is the Hannibal Lecter. This is the Jeffrey Dahmer. This is so many serial killers. And he brings up the last public photo of Hunter and explains that when Hunter was 11, his father killed his mother in front of him. Hunter grew up in the foster system, and years later was convicted on 23 counts of murder, and he was sent to the St. Perez mental asylum for the criminally insane and given electroshock therapy. It's crazy to think about, but basically, Wells' dark matter explosion combined with the electroshock gave Hunter super speed, and that's basically how he succumbed to the super speed. And Barry points out that Jay doesn't know who he really is, and he has an idea of how they can stop him, because Jay isn't really the one that's bad, as we know. Jay just wants to stop this thing. He doesn't really know what's going on, and they need to find a way to stop him. So Wells provides Joe, Iris, and Caitlin with weapons from the vault. Flash and Cisco go back to the hospital. Cisco opens another breach. Zoom comes through, and Flash says he's not going to let him terrorize another world. We basically get that fight that we wanted in episode 6, but when, remember in episode 6 when we got that brief fight scene between Zoom and Flash that showed how intimidating Zoom really was? Well, we finally start to get more of that here, and I definitely really love that. Flash runs off. Zoom chases him through Central City. Zoom slowly moves in. Flash arrives at Star Labs, and Harry and Joe prepare to shoot. Flash breaks, tells Zoom to catch him if he wants his speed, and what I loved about that, if you guys remember, the very first thing released for this season was Barry saying, if you want me, you gotta catch me. He finally says that's him in this episode, and he speeds through the building. Flash lures the apartment into the room with the targets. One of them is Zoom's father, and Zoom stares at it in shock, knowing that this is his father. This is the man that caused him all this rage. Flash attacks him. Zoom goes after him, only to find a target of Ashley, and his opponent shoots him with a boat, paralyzing him. Barry removes Jay's mask. Barry tells Jay that he made the mistakes of telling Caitlin who his counterpart was. He says that they would have done anything to save his life, but Jay insists that the cure was only temporary. There's only one thing that can cure him, and he doesn't care how many people have to die so he can get it. And Jay says that he and Barry aren't so different at all. Barry says that he would never become like him, and Jay stands up and says that Barry was smart using his family against him. Now it's time for him to get what he came from, and says that they can't lock up the darkness. He vibrates, shatters the boots, and speeds off. Flash goes after him, but his enemy escapes, and basically Jay wants his speed. That's kind of what he wants. He wants his speed so he can become better, and you can tell that's really what he wants here. So, and obviously, he also wants to get vengeance for what happened. So later, Barry, Joe, and Iris return home. The interior's been trashed. Barry searches the house at super speed. He finds a message from Zoom that says, "Your speed for Wally." He wants Wally, and definitely, that's very interesting. We see Wally is then chained up in a cell. The Iron Mask prisoner taps out a message. Wally calls for help. Zoom speeds in, says that Flash is the only one who can help him. Wally says that Flash doesn't know who he is, he thinks, and Zoom says that Flash cares about him. And I like that Zoom says that Flash did care, but at the West House, Iris assures Joe that they'll get Wally back, and Wells warns the others that they don't have enough time or equipment to stop Zoom. Joe asks for a moment of quiet to consider his options, and Barry talks to him privately. And his foster father admits that he doesn't know what to do in this situation. I mean, this is such a tough situation. They really just know how they're going to come back from this and if they're going to get out of this. And Barry says that Wally's a part of his family. They do whatever they have to keep their loved ones safe. And Barry says it's his decision to give up his speed, not Joe's, and tells his foster father that it's his only way and that there's really nothing that Joe can do about it. I mean, that's basically how it's going to be. He's going to give up his speed, and that's exactly what Zoom wants, so why doesn't he just give it to him? And it's sad to see, but it's kind of like, it's something where you see how much of a sacrifice Barry will make. And Laird Star allows Barry then hands Cisco's Jay's helmet and has him contact Zoom. Cisco sees Wally and tells the others that he's alive, then sees Zoom. Zoom consents him. Cisco tells him that Barry will give up his speed. Zoom then speeds into Star Labs with Wally, hands Wally over, and Joe and Iris tell Cisco to get Wally out. Zoom removes his mask, and Wells gets the device he used to take Barry's speed the first time, and once Barry runs, will transfer his speed to Jay. Basically, again, that's what Jay wants. That's the only way to, stop this. And Wells goes to work calibrating it to Jay. Jay says that once the sky is parted, he saw Flash and knew what he had to do. The others wonder how Jay survived, because obviously, it looked really bad what happened with him, and he explains that he went back in time in another version of himself, a time remnant. He knew that seeing him die would convince Barry to go faster, and basically he did this to motivate them, which I think was a very malicious, very interesting act. We found that he did this to motivate them. Barry asks who the man in the iron mask is, and Jay says that he would never believe him. Joe wonders why Jay posed as Flash on Earth 2, and Jay explains that he did it to strip people of their hope, and basically, he did it basically to make, to make people lose faith and lose hope, make them think that the Flash isn't going to help them. And Caitlin says he's nothing but a monster. Jay remembers Ashley telling James the same thing, and Wells then finishes his work. Barry gets onto the treadmill. He starts running, transferring his speed into the device. Barry slows down as the speed force leave his body, and he finally collapses in exhaustion. And it's a very hard scene to watch, honestly. The way that was done, very hard to watch. You can really see that Barry is completely powerless now. He doesn't have his speed, and Wells then gives a vial to Jay, who immediately injects himself with it. He laughs in triumph, grabs Barry, slams him against the wall. Caitlin begs Jay to stop for the sake of what they share. Jay releases Barry before speeding off with Caitlin, and that's how the episode ends. So crazy stuff, guys. Honestly, just crazy stuff, but very, very well earned. I definitely love the way this was done. We basically see that Hunter Zolomon and Jay are basically the same person. Jay was actually Hunter Zolomon this whole time. He was posing as the Flash. He wasn't really the Flash, which I think is a very interesting direction, the way they showed that. I definitely love the way that this was handled. I think it was very well done. But just incredible stuff overall. Really incredible stuff. I'm very interested in seeing what's going to happen here, because it really does seem like now that Barry doesn't have his speed, how is he going to get it back? I mean, obviously, that's what Jay wanted. He wanted his speed. So what's Barry going to do? He's completely powerless now, and that's going to be a very interesting direction to see. I mean, we remember the one episode in Season 1 where he didn't have his powers, obviously, but never something like this. Barry voluntarily gave his powers away. Even though Zoom wanted it, he didn't hesitate. He said, no, I'm just going to give him away, because he's not going to let someone hurt Wally, and I definitely love seeing that. So, very interesting. I can't wait to see what happens there. And what does Jay exactly want with Caitlin? Does he actually love Caitlin? To me, I think he actually does care about her. I think all that stuff with Caitlin was true, but I'm not really sure. We'll have to see what's going on there, if he's just using Caitlin as bait, if he actually does love her. I mean, things between Caitlin and Jay are obviously really, hard right now, and I'm wondering really what's going to happen there, if Caitlin and Zoom, they're going to be okay. We'll have to see what happens with that. It's kind of like, Daredevil, what they did with Karen and Frank. I feel like it's going to kind of be what they do with Caitlin and Zoom. I feel like that's kind of what's going to happen there. We'll have to see what happens with that. It's going to be very interesting as well. I can't wait to see what happens with that. Cisco, I love what they do with Cisco in this episode. Cisco, like I said, he's still trying to figure out his powers. He knows, I think, who he is, and he knows but he just knows what Reverb is capable of, and he doesn't want to turn into Reverb, and I don't really know what's going to happen there. We'll have to see what happens with that. Cisco, definitely, I like that he's getting more involved. I like that he is kind of working with the Flash more, and I definitely do love seeing that. Wally wasn't a dick in this episode. Like I said, Wally definitely wasn't a dick. I definitely really did appreciate that. Wally's going to find out Barry's secret, though. There has been a picture released that Wally finds out Barry's secret. I don't know when it's going to happen, but he's going to find it out, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I think it's the right time to tell Wally. I think, Barry's given enough thought, and really at this point he tells him a secret. There's really nothing that changed because now he doesn't have his speed. What really happens, I'm not really sure. We'll have to see what happens with that. And then Iris, I love that they're starting to focus on Iris possibly having these feelings for Barry. I mean, we've known she's had these feelings for him for a while. I think that they've definitely built it up very well. I think the show really is exploring it very well, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what ends up happening with all that. It's going to be very interesting to see how they handle that whole storyline. I love the way that was done. Overall, guys, I absolutely love this episode. Like I said, by far one of my favorite episodes this season. Yes, there was a lot of exposition, but it really gave us everything we need. It showed that Hunter Zolomon and Jay Garrick are, in fact, the same person. They basically, Hunter Zolomon is who he really is. Jay Garrick was who he was posing as. And yes, in many ways, this is very much like Reverse Flash, where Eobard Thawne was posing as as Harrison Wells. The difference is that Harrison Wells had no control over what happened, while Hunter Zolomon, Jay Garrick is an alias. Jay Garrick is not an actual person. It's an alias that he created. He's not really Jay Garrick. He actually is Hunter Zolomon, and I'm looking forward to seeing really what they're going to do with that. I think it's going to be a very interesting situation, and you really do understand why, why Hunter feels this rage, why he wants to go after everyone, why he wants to do this stuff. I mean, he wants vengeance. He wants vengeance, and he'll do anything he can to get it. I'm not condoning what he's doing, but it just makes his motivation a lot better. And I heard a lot of people say that Zoom is a character with no motivation. No, you understand why he needs a flash of speed. He needs a flash of speed. He's wanted it. It's something where he's going to manipulate him. And the fact that he faked faked his death just to get them to feel sympathy and get them to motivate them, I think is very interesting. I can't wait to see what happens with that. That's going to be very interesting with the way that's going to happen. I can't wait to see what happens with that whole thing. But overall, guys, amazing episode. Absolutely love this episode. We have 5 episodes left, actually. 19, 20, 21, 20. No, we have 5 episodes left this season. And I don't really know what's going to happen, but I am so looking forward to these last 4 episodes. Why? Because if you guys remember last year, the last 4 episodes of all of season 1 were by far their best, and I don't know if they're gonna. I think they can top it this year. I definitely think they have a possibility to do that. I think definitely they could do that if they wanted to. But overall, guys, I know you guys saw this episode. Left to your thoughts, and I absolutely love this episode. And I will see you guys. And definitely the show. I'm fine with I was fine with them doing this slow pace. I like that we finally got everything we wanted. And I will see you guys next week, which will be for another classic mirror review. And I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.